Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to the finale of Season 2 of our F1 2010 career mode. Yes, we return this weekend here for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We're back at Yas Marina. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a couple of days ago from Brazil, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But it's safe to say, this has got to be the biggest race we have ever had on F1 2010. A three-way World Championship decider between last year's championship protagonist Lewis Hamilton, who of course went up against Sebastian Vettel, and of course the two-time world champion in Fernando Alonso as well. We've got a 15-point lead over Lewis. We've got 22 over Fernando. So pretty simply, as long as we finish P3, I believe today, no, sorry, we can finish P5 even, I should say, today. That would be enough to wrap up the World Championship. Fernando Alonso, he needs to win this Grand Prix if he wants any hope of becoming a three-time Formula 1 World Champion as well. But yeah, Felipe Massa, Jenson Button, Mark Webber, they are all mathematically out of the hunt. Over in the Constructors' Championship as well, though, Ferrari 11 points clear of McLaren, so there is still a lot to decide between those teams as well. Now, again, I've talked about it quite a lot on this game, with its tiering system, with kind of the way it works out, which cars kind of get upgrades and which ones don't at the moment. I'm pretty certain we are currently in a battle with Red Bull, to kind of who will move up and basically replace either Ferrari or McLaren. So basically, obviously, if Ferrari win the Constructors, they will keep a top-tier car for next season. McLaren, therefore, will head down into what's known as Tier 2. So they're still able to fight for wins. It just might not be as reliably. And then, obviously, between Red Bull and Mercedes, one of us would obviously move up into Tier 1. And obviously, one of us would actually move down to Tier 3. Normally, though, that's kind of interesting to keep tabs of on this game. But it comes with a bit of added weight this weekend, because if we don't win this World Championship, we have been sent a contract offer through from Ferrari. Yes, Stefano Domenicali has come a knock in as well. Obviously, Mercedes aren't interested in retaining my services ready for next season. So, really, ideal world, we win the championship today, and then we don't have to worry about any of that. Of course, the aim of this series is just to win one World Championship on each of the F1 games. If we don't win the World Championship, though, I want Ferrari to beat McLaren in the Constructors, and that way we should have a very, very competitive car ready for next season. $14.5 million Ferrari want to offer me, of course, to replace Felipe Massa with the team down at Maranello. So if we don't win the championship, I'm accepting that offer right now anyway, just in case. It should mean, of course, we've got a very good car ready for Season 3. If we need to cross that bridge. Of course, as always, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody for their continued support on this series. F1 2010, it has been a lot of fun to jump back into. Definitely has got a lot of issues, though, that I think sometimes nostalgia kind of allows you to forget about any of that as well. But, yeah, for one final time then in Season 2, maybe for the last time ever on F1 2010, at least for the foreseeable future, let's return then here to the track. Hello, heading into qualifying then. Clearly this game still can't deal with that final corner, even a much better Mercedes car than the HRT we drove last season. But obviously, yeah, if you guys remember, the Season 1 finale here was actually quite dramatic as well. Obviously, desperately trying to make sure that we beat out Michael Schumacher so that I can end up being his teammate ready for this campaign as well, first lap then immediately in the bin. But, you know, as I've said so much throughout the second half of this campaign, I'm just going to try and do the bare minimum I need to win the World Championship today. Of course, if Fernando Alonso is winning, I'm pretty certain then, mathematically, all I need to do is finish P8. So I don't actually mind if Fernando's leading a lot of this Grand Prix either, as long as Hamilton isn't going to be kind of applying too much pressure to him either. Obviously, you know, we have worked hard to give ourselves the small buffer that we have had. What I do think about, though, is if we hadn't run out of fuel twice, I think we would already be champion. And, of course, let's not forget Fernando Alonso glitched the result out in Germany. So I'm trying to get my excuses in nice and early on in case we don't win the title today. But I'm still feeling, hopefully, fairly confident that today is going to be our day. This is F1 2010, though. That could all change very quickly. As we saw last weekend in Brazil, But it's still weird coming back to the older version of Abu Dhabi on these games. You forget just how different it was back, obviously, when it was first introduced to Formula 1. It was, I mean, it's not a great circuit now, but it was so bad. So painfully bad. The fact that, of course, this place has settled, or, you know, been the season finale for so many years now, I think kind of almost people forget just how bad a track it did used to be. I mean, Fernando Alonso got absolutely screwed here, didn't he, in 2010? Obviously, just, I mean, he could have tried to get around Vitaly Petrov, he just didn't. But yeah, not helped, of course, by just how clunky. I think that's the best way to describe the original Yas Marina layout, is just, yeah, clunky. So I'm running a little bit wide there, down at the end of that little triple right-hander. But as we make our way through these final few corners, just got to be so careful of the auto spin curbs. So very wide there through the penultimate turn. Of course, that is definitely not flat out on this game. But out of the final corner, we go 1.6 seconds clear at the top. But there is definitely more time to be had. Well, this is also a circuit where the AI can get a little bit caught out, especially through this final sector down at this chicane. So we'll have to wait and see whether there's any drama like that over the course of the afternoon. But again, just being very careful, as I mean, there's more debris down there. So I think the AI really struggling in that one. We are about half a second up, though, on the time I did in the first run, as we've got more yellows out. So another front wing gone. So I think we could end up with quite a mixed up grid here, depending on who's simply able to actually get a lap on the board and who might not. Making our way through the final corner. Fernando Alonso has just gone 1.5 seconds clear of myself, so that sends a statement of intent. We will go 2 tenths behind him. Well, there we are then. Jenson Button, Felipe Massa, and Fernando Alonso then right up at the front of the order. But out of your top 8, I'm not seeing a Lewis Hamilton. Whereabouts is he then? As we keep scrolling down, I mean, that would be huge if he's somehow gone out in Q1. I mean, we are scrolling further down. Hulkenberg, Buemi, Kovalainen, Jarno Trulli. Hamilton, where is he? Hamilton hasn't got a lap time in. Drama early on then here as Lewis Hamilton. He will line up 22nd on the grid then here in Abu Dhabi. Sebastian Vettel, Robin Kubica all failing to get lap times on the board. So drama already then in this season finale. And well, I mean, Hamilton, he's still got a good chance in the Grand Prix. But he's going to need to absolutely drive like his life depends on it. The engineer just keeps yelling at me about where there's yellow flags around this circuit. So Q2 can end up being just as dramatic then as Q1. I mean, that is a huge weight, though, off our shoulders with Hamilton way down the order. Like I said, it's not like I need to outscore him today or anything like that. But, of course, it just means that it's so much less likely that he's going to be able to get a good result. And, of course, if he doesn't outscore me, we then only need to finish P9 in this race. And, well, although we didn't do that last weekend in Brazil, I would just play so risk off as we head into the Grand Prix. Let's not forget, if you know, say for example Jenson Button's got the speed, it might well be that I don't even need to worry whatsoever if Fernando Alonso can't win this race. Pedro de la Rosa now, 1:44.7. We will do a 41.5. Quicker than anybody managed in Q. Well, there we are then. Fernando Alonso, myself, and Jenson Button covered by less than a tenth of a second come the end of Q2. Felipe Massa will line up 4th ahead of, well, will end up in P4, sorry, ahead of Mark Webber and Michael Schumacher. Pedro de la Rosa out, Jaime Alguersuari out. I don't think there's any major surprises out in Q2, but I put this Mercedes on pole so many times this season. I would love one more pole lap today. Well, heading out then onto the track, 10 minutes, of course, on the board, ready for Q3. But Abu Dhabi is a weirdly long circuit inside this game in terms of time. So, yeah, we're not going to get that many opportunities to try and get a good time on the board. But, yeah, this Mercedes, so often it has come alive throughout qualifying so far this year. Can we try and get one more great pole lap out of this car? They're, of course, braking down in towards that chicane. You want to really avoid the curbs, both on the way in and on the way out. Let's just connect with that curb through the hairpin there, just to kind of slide the back end through the exit. Power down as we make our way up the back straight. Probably going to be approaching speeds of 200 miles an hour before we get on the anchors down the end here. About, yeah, pretty much 200 just spotted there. Sort of late on the anchors. Can really try and throw the car in for that first part of the chicane. Got to be a little bit hesitant though on the throttle on the exit, just to make sure you don't meet any wheel spin as you try and get the power down. Again, up this next straight, still in excess of 190 miles an hour, braking about 130 meters out. And then just really be careful or through these curbs there. Try to avoid the bollard on the inside. That will take the front wing. Or if you mess it up there, is again just skimming that second bollard with the rear wheel. Luckily, that won't do any damage to the car as well there. But in towards the final few corners, then we've got more yellow flags out at the moment as Vitanzione Liuzzi's gone round. Oh, just trying to be really, really careful with those curbs then as we head under the hotel. Oh, just about avoided doing any front wing damage there. So that first lap was almost so good as Kobayashi gets around the outside through the final corner though. That first lap still going to end up being a 42.3. So if we can eliminate that error, surely this would be a pretty good lap. Might not bode too well for our race pace then, just how quickly Kobayashi has just gotten on this second run. But we were in the green at the end of Sector 1. We are still in the green come the end of Sector 2 as well, as all that is definitely not the line, and that's going to be that lap ruined. Come on. What on earth am I doing? Whoa. What on earth was that? Okay, there's clearly a bump on the outside there then. That was very, very strange. Somehow we're still half a tenth up by the time we get through Sector 1. But I remember last year here, qualifying was an absolute nightmare. I was trying to get absolutely hooked up. I mean, had we lost the wing earlier on, that would have been 4 minutes of damage instantly, and we likely wouldn't have been able to get much more running done in the session, but powering our way down the back straight, so we know if we can get the rest of the lap fairly tidy, there is still going to be a potential for a good time on the board. It's getting the power down on the exit there. Felipe Massa now has meant that we are in a Ferrari sandwich provisionally up at the front of the order, but try and throw the car down the end of this straight. 2 tenths down at the moment, but like I said, there is so much time to find. Or in through Sector 3 there, just really dance the car up over the top of the curbs. Be careful, obviously, of the bollards as well. As I mean, by the end of Sector 2, we're over a second up on Fernando Alonso at the moment. Oh, no, again! Just got caught out on the tram track there. Hopefully, it's still going to allow us to find a little bit of time by the time we head through these final few corners, but we need to find 4 tenths. Well, what I did last time round there is really try and slice that curb as best as we possibly can. Track limits were a whole lot more lax back in 2010. 41 flat. That should be pole. And there we go then in the end. A huge lap there just came together right at the very last. And, well, there was probably close to another second on that run as well. We will claim pole position, though, ahead of Fernando Alonso, Felipe Massa, with Button, Webber, Vitanzione Liuzzi, Petrov, Suttel, Kobayashi, and, well, unfortunately, Michael Schumacher not getting a run in right at the end of qualifying either. But championship is on the line. Let's go out there. Let's wrap this up.
Last race of the season, and we've still got a shot at the driver's title. You need to be really on the ball today. Now go out there and come back a champion.
Well, there we are. 5 red lights are on. Encouraging words from the team, but it is going to be lights out, and away we go. Here in Abu Dhabi, immediately Alonso, he's going to try and have a look past us in towards turn 1. He might clear me. No, he won't. He's going to completely check himself up on the inside of turn 2 there. We'll make sure keep the car nice and tidy on the apex through turn 3. And just as we head down the hill, nice and easy as we try and build up some temperature in the front tyres as well. Then super difficult when the car's loaded up with fuel early on in this Grand Prix there. Let's make sure we get the power down on the exit and potentially try and break the slipstream as we make our way up the back straight. I mean, we don't need to win tonight, but I'm absolutely, if there's a sensible, realistic shot of doing it, I will still try if I possibly can there, as making our way down the back straight for the very first time. Gotta make sure as well I bring the engine back down into standard revs. I don't know how tight the fuel will end up being this afternoon either, but I mean, I wouldn't even mind whether we try and play this strategically, and whether if Felipe got past Fernando, then that would be fantastic for us. It would always be nice to see Felipe win the final race of the campaign as well, but yeah, a little bit gutted for him. Of course, it looked like so strong earlier on in the season, but ultimately as Hamilton and Alonso got better and better, Felipe Massa just has not quite been able to match his teammate or his adversary from just a couple of years ago. But as we try and dance our way over the curbs towards the end of lap 1, I mean, this was absolutely way more than I was expecting to be able to do early on here. But I will try and stay here as long as I possibly can. In the nicest way possible. I'm hoping this is the most boring race we've had all year. But I'd probably pretty much guarantee it won't be. Here you go. Looks like Felipe, has jumped Fernando then early on in this race. So, yeah, Felipe Massa now going to be the one trying to apply some pressure to me. And like I said, I mean, I'm not going to defend from any of these guys all too aggressively anyway. But could be in my best interest to let Felipe by. Let him try and scamper off into the distance. As soon as I talk about that, Alonso's got back past him once again. Big error there, and that's going to allow... Oh, Felipe apparently's got back past Fernando. No idea what's going on then up at the front of the order, but again, said if I can just defend from Fernando Alonso here fairly early on, it's Button now getting a huge run as well. Whoa, down the back straight. I completely outbroke myself there, around the outside of Felipe Massa once again. Not quite able to get back alongside the Brazilian off the exit of the corner, but that might be us waving goodbye to race victory tonight. Again, not that I'm worried about it. Alain Prost, do as little as we need to win this title. But yeah, if we can allow Felipe just to scamper away a bit further, of course it also means that Hamilton, let's not forget, he still needs to finish on the podium today if he wants any shot at the title. And that also doesn't seem likely. But I tell you what then, I'm not deliberately trying to hold up other cars in this Grand Prix. I'm also not taking much risk in this Grand Prix. But yeah, Felipe even has just gone up at the front of the order. Bit of a shame, of course, that he's my rival when kind of the four of us that looked to be in the world title hunt at the time, I thought he was going to be my biggest threat. So obviously I've still got an eye on what Fernando's doing just behind. But I mean, Lewis Hamilton, in theory, he could try and pit very, very early on, try and go for a big undercut and then try and stay towards the front of the order. I don't think he will do that. I'm just saying he could do that. Okay, Michael Schumacher into the pit lane then. That's slightly earlier than I would have expected in this Grand Prix. Bizarrely, I thought tyre wear was going to be a whole lot worse here in the Yas Marina, but actually seems to be fairly manageable at the moment. So I'm going to try and go probably to the end of lap 8. I guess I will try and cover off Fernando and Jensen if, for example, they pit the end of this lap. But like I said, I'm just thinking about my own race. The tyre warning has now flashed up orange, so yeah, we are going to peel into the pit lane then at the end of this lap, bolt on a set of prime compound tyres to take us through, well, to the end of the GP. The thing you do have to be a little bit careful of here is track limits. Sometimes the game can be very, very strict with them, almost like a more modern F1 title. I mean, as I've said many times before, though, track limits just weren't really a thing like they are in modern Formula. What's Button doing? How is that? How is that fair? What on earth is that from the AI there? As I'm just going to coast it in. As I said, not taking any risk at all on pit lane entry there. As Button and Webber both just drove through me on pit lane entry. But prime tyres going on then. 4-second stop isn't the end of the world either. So we should be able to get back on the road there. Are you ready for the most broken pit lane exit on all of F1 2010? Watch this on the way out the pit lane. 110 miles an hour. Through pit lane exit there. That one is still rather impressive, but Fernando Alonso then has been handed the race lead up at the front of the order, but again, Felipe Massa should be a long way ahead of him. I'm just really intrigued to see how Hamilton's getting on. Oh, we've got yellows, that is Massa! Felipe Massa's gone round, so Felipe suddenly now, from a controlling position in this Grand Prix, seems to be in the wars, and, well, I literally just said that Fernando Alonso would still be behind him. Fernando, where on earth am I going? Might now be leading this Grand Prix once he's come in for his pit stop. I mean, you just see how quickly the AI are able to romp away from you there. But there is Fernando Alonso then, still in pit lane. So, yeah, he's really, really lost out there. The overcut has not worked out that well for him, as well, looks like we're still going to be out battling with Fernando on pit lane exit. No, he had... What on earth are you doing? Why is he braking on pit lane exit there? I mean, I guess we'll claim the spot, but Petrov now leading the Grand Prix. But once he dives in, should be Button up front. So we've got more yellows. Button's gone. What on earth is happening? Mark Webber now to the lead of this Grand Prix, as I think Fernando Alonso has ran into some issues as well there, but, I mean, we're going to be up into P2 then still after Petrov was pit, unless he can do something absolutely mad here, but, I mean, Mark Webber, he's a bit of a bottle job on this game. Might he make an error, and then we kind of just end up back in the lead of this race. Oh, we got yellows, we got yellows. Oh, it's Alonso! Alonso's running into problems. What on earth is happening here in Abu Dhabi there? As well, we were just starting to come under a bit of pressure again from Fernando, but I mean, I think Webber might have had an incident as well. Petrov now into the pit lane, so we're going to be back a bit of P2. But I saw Mark Webber running very, very deep down at turn 1, or down, sorry, at the final corner. He's now lost a fair chunk of time to us as well, so despite the fact I'm literally here on a nice Sunday afternoon drive, the AI seem to be making more and more issues. As, yeah, I've taken another second out of Mark. But yeah, Kamui Kobayashi then up to P3. Vitaly Petrov now has come back out the pit lane in P4. And Massa's back up to 5th. Oh, Mark Webber. Where's he going? Mark Webber. Oh, he has lost the wing. I was right. That was Red Bull debris. Okay. Through the final corner last lap. So Mark Webber now. I mean, I think he'd done that to himself, to be honest. But I might have helped him kind of spin around. I mean, that is kind of ridiculous, isn't it? The amount of races this season that haven't gone our way when it felt like they really could, or indeed should have. Here in Abu Dhabi, I'm just trying to take it easy. I just want to get to the end and make sure we claim our world championship. And suddenly everybody else has decided they want to start crashing. I'm not going to complain, though. 10 laps to go. Like I said, we are back up then at the front of the order. And still actually setting some pretty good split times. But at the moment then, still setting new fastest laps, or personal bests I should say, in this Grand Prix. It looks like Sumac has had an absolute nightmare of a GP though, all the way down in P18. Kamui Kobayashi though, right behind me. I don't believe he's ever won a race inside this series. And let's not forget, no Japanese Formula 1 driver has ever won an F1 Grand Prix either. I mean, if this wasn't the race where I'm trying to win the championship, I could be really tempted to give it up to Kamui. I might still end up accidentally giving Kamui Kobayashi the victory anyway this afternoon, but at the moment, I just really want to go out on top, on a high from F1 2010 and let our last Grand Prix be a victory. That being said though, if Kamui Kobayashi does send it, I'm probably not going to be the firmest of defenders. Well, 4 laps to go then here from Abu Dhabi, and honestly, for the first time really this entire season, this is now actually beginning to feel real, actually beginning to feel possible in this Grand Prix. I mean, it's not that I don't think I've driven badly this season or anything like that. I think it is just down more to the AI's inconsistencies inside this game, but the fact that we went between Monaco and Singapore without winning a single Grand Prix, I really did kind of feel like the opening races went really, really well for us. And then since then, just kind of, whether this Mercedes in theory got a little bit worse in terms of performance, whether the AI, just obviously a lot of their bad tracks happened early on. There was definitely a bit of luck on our side as well early on. Tracks like Australia, again, a bit like today, it feels like the AI have done the best job just of crashing into each other over and over. But, yeah, this game is just so weird. I think, as I've said a few times, we've all been a bit blinded by nostalgia with F1 2010. It is still great fun to give a go. It is still great fun to kind of throw a car around. But, yeah, I think we kind of forget just how well polished a lot of the modern games are in comparison. The fact that there's no kind of AI simulation at all. There's no slipstream on this game. They're just hilariously slow in qualifying and then very, very good in come Grand Prix. And again, they're kind of just making it up as they go along. I think genuinely this season, despite how much better I've done than Michael Schumacher, he's beating me like 14-4 in terms of the fastest lap comparison come the end of Grand Prix as well. So it's just a bit weird. I mean, it was, for a very first F1 game, like I said, very, very nostalgic, very, very good fun. But yeah, kind of once you scratch beneath the surface, which 10-year-old me wouldn't have done, yeah, it's just very, very funky, isn't it? Apparently, though, they do fix a lot of stuff for F1 2011. I'm sure, of course, we will find that out in due course as well. But something's definitely happening to Kobayashi. He's dropped back quite a lot all of a sudden. And that's giving us just a little bit of breathing room once more. Well, as the sun continuing to set then here in Abu Dhabi, I must admit, like I said, this championship, this entire season, this entire game has been a real whirlwind of emotions. Sometimes you think, yep, we are back on it. We are definitely going to win this championship. You get to the next Grand Prix, the AI wipe the floor with you, and immediately you kind of dip into thinking, it's just not going to happen. Especially with the added pressure of Mercedes not wanting me, HRT being the only team that wanted to sign me, and then suddenly out of nowhere, Ferrari have sent a contract through this weekend. It did kind of give me one sigh of relief knowing that even, you know, if things didn't go our way today, we absolutely had a competitive car ready for next season once again, because I did not want to go back to HRT inside this game. We did give them, though, their first win. We had quite a few kind of historic and great moments inside this game as well, obviously. Well, hello, Bruno Senna, gone for a bit of a spin. I guess each their own then, and I'm going to put a lap on him late on in the day. But, I mean, we saw HRT get their first victory. We saw Timo Glock win, and admittedly quite controversially, out at Barcelona. We won the Monaco Grand Prix. We had more drama here, there, and everywhere. Last season's finale here, way, way more dramatic than the one, well, so far, that we are having tonight there. It's trying to latch over that inside curve one final time. Looks like now, annoyingly for him, Petrov is going to lose out on a podium after what has been a tough and brutal campaign for the Renault man as well. Yep, team warning us about lap cars as well. But for Mercedes, let's not forget, they left Formula 1 in the 1950s, kind of motivated by the Le Mans disaster, that of course obviously they were a huge, huge part of. They left Grand Prix racing for so long, literally from the top of the F1 world. It didn't take them that long, IRL. Let's not forget, 2010 back to 2014, they were winning championships once again, but inside this game, it is going to come even sooner. Sebastian Vettel won the first World Championship exactly as he did IRL. No idea where Kroon Chandok is going on this final lap. Hamilton, though, 2 years in a row, he has made it to Abu Dhabi with a shot at the title, but it is not going to go the way of our fellow Brit. He was world champion in 2008. Jenson Button was world champion in 2009. We are going to become the third Brit in the last 4 years to stand atop of the Formula 1 world. And as we make our way through the final corners, F1 2010, what a place to start this series. Through the final corner, though, we are world champion.
Great drive! Great drive! You dominated the whole weekend. Oh, and the race win. Fantastic.
Well, there we are then. Kamui Kobayashi just 1.4 seconds away from claiming his first F1 Grand Prix victory, and Sauber's second in the sport as well. But ultimately for him tonight, it just was not going to be the day. Jenson Button in P3, they're ahead of Felipe Massa, Adrian Sutil, Vitaly Petrov, Mark Webber, and Jaime Alguersuari again able to score some points with Boemi and Pedro de la Rosa inside your top 10. So neither Hamilton or Alonso able to score in this finale. Jarno Trulli narrowly misses out on points as well ahead of Timo Glock. Michael Schumacher, a tough day for him in P13. They're ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Hamilton down in 16th place come the end of the Grand Prix. And Alonso retired. So no idea what happened to Fernando tonight, as Rubens Barrichello and Robert Kubica also failed to see the checkered flag. It was only the HRTs that got lapped, though, here in Abu Dhabi. Championship-wise, though, 40 points clear come the end of the season. 237, actually, when you sit down and do the maths, is not actually that great to win a world championship. But I said, throughout so much of this campaign, I just wanted to do the Alain Prost, do as little as possible to make sure that we got it across the line, and absolutely able to do so come the end of the season. Hamilton in P2 ahead of Fernando Alonso. Felipe Massa only 4 points back behind his teammate come the end of the season, but it does mean if we had another race this season, we'd still mathematically have the championship wrapped up. Jenson Button comes through for P5. It looked like at one point this campaign that he would be a title threat, but ultimately lacked the consistency. Mark Webber there in P6. Sebastian Vettel, a pretty terrible World Championship defence, all things considered, in P7 ahead of Adrian Sutil there. Robert Kubica, though, hangs on 1 point ahead of our teammate Michael Schumacher, who does finish 10th in the World Championship. Vitantoni Liuzzi, such a strong start to the campaign, only in P11 for him. Ko Kobayashi up in P12 there, ahead of Sebastian Buemi. Vitaly Petrov, though, a decent race for him, sees him jump Jaime Alguersuari again by just 1 point come the end of the season. Hulkenberg in 16th ahead of Rubens Barrichello. Heikki Kovalainen there, best of the backmarkers, ahead of Jarno Trulli. Pedro Della Rosa in P20, just ahead of Timo Glock. Bruno Senna, Karun Chandok 2 points to his name, and Lucas de Grassi, the only driver who failed to score a point. Constructors-wise, Ferrari hang on by the skin of their teeth, 8 points clear of McLaren. We, though, bring Mercedes home in P3, so a very, very solid year for us, ahead of Red Bull and Force India there. Renault looked very, very strong early on, but only able to come through for P6 in the end, ahead of Toro Rosso, who just hang on ahead of BMW Sauber with that big result tonight. Williams, kind of the last of the established F1 teams. Lotus, though, best of the backmarkers, ahead of Virgin and HRT. But I don't know if we've got any cutscenes or anything like that. I know we've got an interview to head to, so let's head over to Holly Samos.
I'm happy to be able to ask this particular question. How does it feel to be the Formula One World Champion?
Oh, it feels good. It feels very, very good. I could go with a really cocky response. I was the best out there. I deserve it. But I think, yeah, this has to be the greatest feeling in the world.
Pole position and the race victory. It doesn't get any better than that, does it?
It was weirdly one of the only kind of, I wouldn't even say it was a dominant race by me, but pole and the win. Yeah, I was honestly not expecting it. I was not planning for that. It was helped a lot by the fact that Webber and Massa decided to take themselves out, but yeah, things did just genuinely really click this weekend.
Whilst I have your attention, would you care to confirm that you've signed to drive for a new team next season?
Well, you guys have already seen that we've signed to Ferrari ready for Season 3, so yes, the rumours are definitely true. And there we go then, our last interview of F1 2010. Our agent there just standing by. Obviously, I'm sure we'll be bringing her over to Ferrari as well. But I guess because we're not jumping into Season 3, we'll take a look as to what next season has to offer as well. First place in the World Championship. Obviously, third place in the Constructors' Championship as well. That was mainly dragged down by Michael Schumacher. And there we go. Season objective complete of finishing P4. I don't know if we gain any extra XP as well, but Season 3, the objective to finish 4th or above. Of course, we won't be doing any of that. But welcome to Ferrari. Stefano Domenicali, 15 drivers' titles, 16 constructors as well. And look at that then, the Ferrari garage. Admittedly, it's slightly a shame that obviously we won't be atop of the F1 world with the Ferrari team. But very, very cool to obviously see those logos, see those motorhomes and everything else inside this game. But there we go then. Formula 1, F1 World Champion. Let's see, obviously, how much money have I earned in this game? Can I find that out quickly? I don't think it's that much. There you go. Yeah, apparently, even as reigning champion, I would actually be the #1, wouldn't I? And you can obviously see that driver's, and I guess the Constructors' Trophy, of course, because obviously, yeah, Ferrari able to wrap that up as well last season. 16 pole positions, though, a lot of them coming this season in 38 Grand Prix, so definitely goes to show that the AI lack the pace over one lap. 12 podiums, 7 of which of those were race wins, and 1 Formula 1 World Championship. Thank you all so much for watching the entirety of our F1 2010 career mode. Of course, I will be taking a little bit of time just to get everything settled and set up ready for F1 2011 as well. Of course, we will be going right back to the bottom. I will probably also be putting out a poll for what team you guys would like to see me start that series with as well. But for now, that is going to do us here on F1 2010, and we'll be back very soon with more retro Formula 1 content.